Hey, welcome to Sports Map Houston. I'm Brandon Strange in for John Granado. You know his co-host Lance Erline from the bench. Weekday mornings, ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Hey, Lance, welcome in. Let's talk some Astros. With the benefit of some hindsight, we get to examine that exciting series that happened in the Bronx between the Astros and Yankees. It's a big deal because it did seem like a postseason game in June, or postseason games in June. And all the games were close. I think most people see this as a preview, or hopefully a preview, of the ALCS this year. And again, those games were close. Games 1 and 4 were lost the same way, pitching to the same guy. We've talked about Dusty Baker quite a bit on this channel. There was a lot of chatter on social media after Game 4. How much of those losses do you put on Dusty Baker?
I understood Game 1 to an extent. Once Game 1 happens, we're talking about Game 1 of the series and the first loss as well on Thursday. There's just, for me, you got your closer in, so I understand it. You've got Presley in, and we're talking about Stanek, but let's start at the ninth inning. You got Presley in, walk, home run, boom. Just like that, you're tied up. It was unbelievable, but you're tied up. Then you're still in a long inning there in the ninth inning, and Stanek is up, and you have a chance to work around Aaron Judge. You don't do it. There's some statistics that say he's not been great in high leverage situations, blah, blah, blah. He beats you. So then you have a no-hitter, or you have JV has a great game, then you have a no-hitter. Then you got a no-hitter for much of the game. In Game 4, you end up losing that no-hitter. And then here comes Aaron Judge with a chance to ruin you again. The game's tied up. You have a chance to be ruined again in the 10th inning this time. Seth Martinez, a pitcher who really hasn't pitched much at all this year, 20 innings total. And here comes Aaron Judge, who is going to be the MVP frontrunner right now, who just beat you on Thursday in the same way. Now, I don't care. I had one of these gatekeeper fans on Twitter who's deciding that I'm not allowed to have an opinion about Dusty Baker kind of blowing this, and he wanted to come with this statistic or that statistic. Let me tell you something. If you go up against the best hitters in the game and you challenged him consistently, you are going to get what you deserve. And I think that was the case with the Houston Astros. Aaron Judge had already proven that it was a problem on Thursday. You can give me whatever statistics that you want to ply me with, but the fact is, I've got Seth Martinez on the mound. I've got Aaron Judge there. I've got Rizzo coming up next. I'd rather not get beat by Aaron Judge. I'd rather take my chance. I know right on right versus right on lefty. I understand the idea of some of the analytics behind why Dusty made the decision, but I just think that it's kind of like, I look at it this way, Brandon. It's like pilots fly in autopilot for most of the flight. That's what managing a baseball team is. You just go. You're on autopilot. The decisions are really made fairly easily. Everyone makes the same decisions. I think at the end, when you land the plane, that's when it becomes human error, human instinct, human talent. And I think that's where Dusty Baker and different managers have to step in and really, play the gut is something analytics people they hate that idea. But I do think having a good feel for what can win and what can get you beat, I do think from time to time you have to step in and work with that. And the knowledge under your belt was that just 3 games prior, you were beaten by that MVP candidate and front runner. Don't let it happen again. The Yankees keep trying it with Jose Altuve. How's that working out? And what makes this even more egregious to me as an Astros fan, and maybe you, and it has nothing to do with Dusty or even the particular front office or anything, even ownership. But oh my God, how many times did the Astros get beat by Albert Pujols? I mean, that was a guy you just simply know you do not pitch to Albert Pujols, yet they gave him pitches time and time again, and he ruined you time and time again. Altuve's doing that now to the Yankees. To me, you don't give Judge that same opportunity, not in that spot, not with that pitcher specifically, and Seth Martinez. Nothing against Seth, just didn't have the level of experience to win that battle, I thought. And they paid the price. And to me, I put a lot of that on Dusty. I thought pinch hitting the inning or 2 innings before Yordan Alvarez with 2 outs and nobody on, you pinch hit him. Yeah. That's the easiest walk in the world for the Yankees. Yeah. They're going to go to Castro. You just burned up Yordan.
Yep.
So just not a fan of those two moves specifically. Like Dusty Baker, I think he's okay as a manager. I have got no problem with him being a manager of the Astros. I thought he did not have his best day on Sunday.
I want to hit on a couple things you said there, but yeah, I was going to bring up the Castro and the Yordan thing because that definitely stood out as well. The Killer Bees had an interesting thing to say. They were talking about how the decision making happens coming from the dugout. And I wanted to talk to you about it because I thought it was interesting. We used to hear about Brett Strom having input on some of the pitching decisions with Dusty. Conversely, do you think a guy like Joe Espada, the bench coach, has a voice in that dugout during times when Aaron Judge is at bat, at times when maybe you shouldn't put in Yordan because it's the easiest intentional walk? Do you think there is a voice in that dugout to help Dusty in those situations? And if not, do you think there should be?
Well, I mean, the easy answer is yes, of course. He's a bench coach, but I don't know that for sure. I think that's a fair question. Is the bench coach stepping up and is he being listened to? Is he saying anything? I think it's a very, baseball, even though it's at a slow pace, it still happens more quickly than you think. I mean, decisions still have to be made fairly quickly in real time. And to me, that's a decision that you have to anticipate. He's going to be coming up. You're starting with a runner at second base. One run beats you. You're automatically, they lay down a bunt, and before you know it, you got a man on third. You're walking Carpenter. So you obviously are figuring things out as they go, but you're looking ahead in the lineup. I mean, to me, that is one of those questions that you should have been asking yourself and pondering before it ever happened. So I don't know whether it's Dusty or Espada. That should be a conversation. Hey, what are we doing here? And maybe the Astros would tell you, these are the numbers, and we're never deviating from the numbers. And Aaron Judge, even though we know he's a great player, the numbers say this. I'm fine with numbers. I'm fine with sabermetrics. I'm fine with analytics. I do think there are times, though, you have to lean into the human element at certain moments where you recognize one guy is more than likely going to rise to the occasion above another guy, above and beyond another guy. I'll give you an example. If you got a choice between Rizzo trying to beat you or Aaron Judge trying to beat you, I'd rather get beat by Rizzo, frankly, in that situation. I get if he got hit by a pitch or walked, you lose. But I also know that if Aaron Judge gets a hit, you lose as well. And sometimes the historical data doesn't matter as much to me. Give you an example. Bases loaded for Yuli Gurriel in the past, you were in a lot of trouble if you pitched to Yuli Gurriel. This year, not so much. So I do think that historical data is great, but when you get into the moment, I think you got to be a little bit careful with it. And you better have someone in your ear who's willing to, if you're Dusty Baker, who's willing to challenge you a little bit. And because that's healthy. I think it's healthy to have a second opinion on the bench. I hope it's happening. I would expect it to happen. But to your point and your question, Brandon, I don't know if it is happening.
Well, for all the talk about Dusty Baker's decision-making, we saw this team, or at least an iteration of this team, make it to the World Series with Dusty Baker at the helm. They didn't lose because of Dusty. They lost because the bats got shut down. And what's interesting about that Yankee series is that it was kind of a microcosm of who the Astros are this year, which is a team of excellent pitching, but there are times when the bats get shut down. They had guys on base at the top of the 10th, first and third, bases loaded at one point, could not scratch across or run. Mm-hmm. That seems more like the problem, and if they don't fix that, I don't think Dusty can fix that for them.
No, they've gone from being a dominant lineup and a deep lineup, deep and dominant, with a pitching staff that's good but can be a little erratic at times, especially in the bullpen. Now you've really switched it to a team that's stronger in the arms, but you have really you've lost some of the depth of your lineup, and you've definitely lost some of the explosiveness in your lineup as well. So I think that's just something the Astros are going to have to get used to, adjust to. We've been spoiled for a long time. Still a really good baseball team, just not as explosive offensively as they've been in the past.